Welcome back to WNBA Hoops TV. Today, we're diving into a story that has basketball fans talking everywhere. Because a headline spread across social media claiming that Caitlin Clark refused an All-Star invitation after Sophie Cunningham was allegedly snubbed, sending the WNBA into panic. It sounds dramatic. It sounds like the kind of story that could change an entire season. But did it actually happen? In today's era of viral sports content, headlines can travel faster than facts. A single post can spark thousands of comments, countless reaction videos, and endless debates before anyone stops to ask the most important question: what's real and what's simply speculation? That question sits at the heart of today's story, because Caitlin Clark has become one of the biggest names in basketball. Every decision she makes is analyzed, every appearance becomes national news, and every rumor surrounding her seems to take on a life of its own. At the same time, Sophie Cunningham has built a reputation as one of the WNBA's toughest competitors, a player respected for her intensity, leadership, and willingness to stand up for teammates. She has earned a loyal fan base that passionately supports her every season. So when discussions about All-Star selections began circulating, emotions naturally ran high. Fans debated deserving players. Analysts compared statistics. Supporters argued that certain athletes had been overlooked. Before long, one particular claim exploded across social media, that Clark had rejected an All-Star opportunity in protest. It was an attention-grabbing narrative. But there was one major problem. There has been no publicly documented evidence that Caitlin Clark refused an All-Star invitation because of Sophie Cunningham's All-Star status. Rumors like these often spread quickly online without reliable confirmation. That doesn't mean the conversation isn't fascinating. In fact, it reveals something even bigger about today's WNBA. How did one league become so popular that every roster decision becomes national debate? Why are fans so emotionally invested in All-Star voting? And why do stories involving Caitlin Clark seem to dominate basketball conversations almost instantly? To answer those questions, we have to look beyond one viral headline. Because this isn't really just a story about one rumor. It's about how the WNBA entered a new era of visibility. An era where every decision is magnified. Every controversy becomes headline news. And every player finds themselves under a spotlight brighter than ever before. Long before Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, the league's All-Star selections were always meaningful. Being named an All-Star represented recognition from fans, players, coaches, and the basketball community. It acknowledged consistency, excellence, impact. For veterans, it reinforced years of elite play. For younger stars, it marked another step toward becoming faces of the league. But as television audiences grew and attendance reached new heights, the stakes surrounding these selections grew as well. More viewers meant more opinions. More attention meant more scrutiny. And nowhere was that more evident than during the Caitlin Clark era. Clark entered the league carrying unprecedented expectations after a historic collegiate career that captivated millions. Nearly every game she played generated headlines, and interest in the WNBA surged alongside her arrival. Naturally, every league decision connected to Clark became a major talking point. That included All-Star voting. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham had established herself through years of determination and physical play. She wasn't known for flashy headlines as much as relentless effort, defensive toughness, and energy that teammates valued. Players like Cunningham often become fan favorites because they embrace difficult roles that don't always appear in the box score. That's why discussions surrounding recognition can become emotional. Fans aren't simply comparing numbers. They're comparing impact, leadership, consistency, and the value each player brings to her team. As All-Star conversations intensified, social media amplified every opinion. Some argued certain stars deserved more recognition. Others defended the selections. Debates filled television panels, podcasts, and online forums. But debates are very different from confirmed events. That's an important distinction. Basketball history is filled with controversial All-Star selections. Every season brings disagreements. Players are left out despite strong performances. Others surprise fans by making the roster. It's part of professional sports. Yet in today's digital world, those disagreements can quickly evolve into stories that sound far more dramatic than the verified facts. That is exactly why separating documented events from viral speculation matters. Still, one thing remained undeniable. The conversation itself demonstrated just how much attention the WNBA was receiving. A few years earlier, an All-Star debate might have stayed within basketball circles. Now it was attracting mainstream attention. Fans who had never followed the league before were suddenly discussing roster decisions. Television ratings continued climbing. Attendance kept growing. Media coverage expanded. Whether people were celebrating or criticizing selections, they were paying attention. And that represented a significant moment for the sport. Yet, as the All-Star discussion continued, another question emerged. If the rumors weren't supported by public evidence, why did so many people believe them so quickly? The answer says as much about modern sports culture as it does about basketball itself. And that's where this story takes an unexpected turn. To understand how one viral claim captured the attention of so many fans, we have to examine how Caitlin Clark's arrival transformed the conversation around the WNBA, and why every headline connected to her now carries extraordinary weight. By the time the All-Star conversation reached its peak, one thing had become impossible to ignore. The debate was no longer just about who made the roster. It had become a conversation about influence. And no player represented that shift more than Caitlin Clark. Whether fans admired her, criticized her, or simply wanted to watch what she would do next, Clark had become the center of attention in nearly every major WNBA storyline. Television ratings climbed when she played. Arenas filled. Jerseys sold quickly. Social media discussions exploded after nearly every game. With that level of visibility came an unavoidable reality. Every rumor involving her spread at incredible speed. The alleged story that Clark had refused an All-Star invitation because of Sophie Cunningham fit perfectly into today's fast-moving online environment. It combined two recognizable players, an emotional topic, and a dramatic narrative. But as basketball reporters and league observers looked for confirmation, something became clear. There was no official announcement from the WNBA. There was no verified statement from Caitlin Clark. There was no documented evidence showing that she had declined an All-Star invitation as a protest over Sophie Cunningham's status. That didn't stop the discussion. If anything, the lack of confirmed information created even more speculation. Some fans insisted the rumor had to be true. Others pointed out that extraordinary claims require reliable evidence. The result was a fascinating split within the basketball community. One side focused on emotion, the other focused on verification. And somewhere in the middle was a much bigger conversation about how sports stories evolve in the digital age. Every season, All-Star selections produce disappointment. Talented players are left off the roster. Fans compare statistics. Analysts debate advanced metrics. Coaches defend difficult decisions. It is one of the few events that guarantees passionate reactions across every professional league. The WNBA is no exception. For players like Sophie Cunningham, recognition has often been tied to contributions that don't always dominate headlines. Her physical style, competitive edge, and willingness to do the difficult work have earned respect throughout her career. Many supporters believed those qualities deserved greater recognition. That opinion was understandable. But opinions about All-Star selections are different from verified reports about another player's actions. That distinction became increasingly important as the story continued spreading. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark continued doing what she had done throughout her rookie season and beyond. She kept playing basketball. Every game presented another challenge. Every opponent wanted to slow her down. Every arena expected something memorable. And almost every performance generated another wave of headlines. Some centered on her shooting. Others focused on her passing. Some praised her leadership. Others analyzed how opposing defenses tried to contain her. Yet despite all the attention surrounding Clark, she consistently became part of conversations she had never publicly started. That is often the reality for athletes whose popularity extends beyond the game itself. The spotlight grows so bright that even silence becomes a headline. A rumor appears. Fans react. Commentators debate. Hours later, millions of people have already formed opinions. Whether the original claim was accurate almost becomes secondary. That phenomenon says as much about today's media landscape as it does about basketball. It also explains why responsible reporting matters. The WNBA's growth has brought tremendous opportunities. More fans, more coverage, more investment, more excitement. But increased attention also means misinformation can spread faster than ever. For players, that creates a unique challenge. They must compete at the highest level while navigating a constant stream of online speculation. Clark has experienced that reality perhaps more than anyone. Nearly every week seems to produce another viral discussion. Some are based on remarkable performances. Others begin with rumors that never receive public confirmation. The All-Star debate became another example of that pattern. At the same time, the discussion highlighted something positive. Fans genuinely cared. They cared about recognition. They cared about fairness. They cared about celebrating players they believed had earned their place. That passion is one of the strongest signs of a growing league. People don't argue intensely about something they ignore. They argue because they are invested, because they watch, because they believe the outcome matters. As the All-Star festivities approached, the basketball world gradually shifted its attention back to what was actually happening on the court. The games continued. The standings changed. New performances created new storylines. And while the viral rumor slowly faded, one important lesson remained. In an era where headlines can travel around the world within minutes, facts still matter. Separating documented events from speculation isn't just important for journalists. It's important for fans. Because the real stories of the WNBA are compelling enough on their own. Historic performances, rising stars, veteran leadership, growing rivalries, record attendance, expanding audiences. Those are stories that don't need embellishment. Still, the attention surrounding Caitlin Clark showed no signs of slowing down. If anything, it continued to grow. And with greater visibility came even greater expectations. Every game, every decision, every milestone, every challenge, the spotlight would only become brighter. But perhaps the biggest question wasn't whether another rumor would appear. It was whether the league could continue embracing its unprecedented popularity while ensuring that the conversation remained centered on the basketball itself. Because that answer could shape not only Caitlin Clark's future, but the future of the WNBA as a whole. As the All-Star weekend arrived, the viral headlines gradually gave way to reality. The games continued. The season moved forward. And the WNBA once again reminded everyone that, while social media can shape conversations, it cannot change documented facts. The rumor claiming that Caitlin Clark refused an All-Star invitation in response to Sophie Cunningham being left out had captured enormous attention. It generated debates across YouTube, X, Facebook, podcasts, and sports talk shows. But after the noise settled, one conclusion became clear. There was no verified evidence that such a protest had taken place. In many ways, that realization became just as important as the rumor itself, because it highlighted the new world the WNBA now operates in. A world where millions of fans follow every game, where every roster announcement becomes breaking news, where every interview is analyzed, and where one unverified headline can spread across the internet before official information has a chance to catch up. For Caitlin Clark, that level of attention has become part of everyday life. Since arriving in the league, she has carried expectations unlike almost any rookie before her. Every performance is measured. Every statistic is compared. Every reaction becomes a story. Yet through all of that, Clark has consistently returned to the same place, the basketball court. Rather than responding to every rumor circulating online, her focus has remained on improving her game, helping her team compete, and adapting to the demands of the professional level. That approach has earned respect throughout the league. Not because it silences every debate, but because it keeps the conversation grounded in what can actually be seen and verified. The same can be said for Sophie Cunningham. Throughout her career, Cunningham has built her reputation through competitiveness, toughness, and consistency. Whether or not fans believe she deserved additional recognition in a particular season, there is little debate about the intensity she brings every time she steps on the floor. Players like Cunningham often become symbols of something larger than individual awards. They represent resilience, commitment, and the willingness to embrace difficult roles that help teams succeed. That is why so many fans rallied behind her during the All-Star discussions. Their support reflected admiration for her style of play, not necessarily proof of the rumors that followed. Perhaps that is the biggest lesson from this entire story. Sports are emotional. Fans celebrate. Fans argue. Fans defend their favorite players with incredible passion. That passion is one of the reasons basketball continues to grow. But passion is strongest when it is built on facts. The WNBA doesn't need manufactured controversy to capture attention anymore. The league is creating unforgettable moments on its own. Attendance has reached historic levels. Television audiences continue to expand. Young athletes are inspired by players who are changing the perception of women's basketball around the world. Every season introduces new rivalries. New stars emerge. Veterans continue building remarkable legacies. And every game contributes to a league that looks stronger than it did just a few years ago. Caitlin Clark has undoubtedly played a significant role in that growth. Her arrival attracted millions of new viewers. Many people who had never regularly watched WNBA basketball suddenly found themselves following schedules, learning team histories, and discovering stars across the league. That increased attention has benefited far more than one player. It has shined a brighter spotlight on the entire sport. At the same time, increased visibility brings increased responsibility. Fans, creators, reporters, and commentators all play a role in shaping the conversation. When dramatic headlines appear, they deserve careful examination. When extraordinary claims are made, they deserve reliable evidence. Because the truth is often compelling enough without exaggeration. Looking ahead, both Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham will continue writing their own stories on the court. Clark's career is still in its early chapters. Every season presents new opportunities to grow, compete, and leave a lasting mark on basketball history. Cunningham's journey continues to reflect the determination and competitive spirit that have defined her career from the beginning. Their paths may cross again. They may face one another in meaningful games. They may create new moments that fans remember for years. But those moments will be decided by what happens between the lines, not by unverified posts shared across the internet. And perhaps that is the perfect way to end this story. Because basketball has always been at its best when the action speaks louder than the headlines. When great passes matter more than hot takes. When remarkable performances replace rumors. And when fans leave the arena talking about what they witnessed, not what someone claimed might have happened. The conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham reminded us how much the WNBA has grown. People care. They pay attention. They debate every decision. That level of passion is a sign of a thriving league. But with that passion comes an opportunity. An opportunity to celebrate incredible athletes while also respecting the importance of verified information. As the league continues reaching new audiences, that balance may become one of its greatest strengths. Because the real story of the WNBA isn't built on speculation. It's built on competition. It's built on resilience. It's built on players who continue raising the standard of women's basketball every single season. Stories like this remind us that basketball is about much more than headlines or social media debates. It's about the athletes who dedicate themselves to the game, the fans who support them through every high and low, and the unforgettable moments that unfold on the court. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to WNBA Hoops TV, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the biggest stories in basketball. We break down the facts, explore the history behind the headlines, and celebrate the moments that continue shaping the future of the game. Now we'd love to hear from you. What do you think about the All-Star selection process? Do you believe players like Sophie Cunningham deserve more recognition? And how do you think Caitlin Clark's impact has changed the WNBA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read them all. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next WNBA Hoops TV documentary.